Will the Houston Texans end up cutting running back Mark Ingram? That's what we're talking about here on today's show, simply because ESPN decided to break down some potential cut candidates entering training camp, and Ingram was the player selected for Houston. The reason why I thought this was at least halfway peculiar is simply because, well, the Texans went out, they signed Ingram this offseason, and they were looking for a little bit more of running back depth chart. Now, the overall idea of moving on from a running back, it does make some sense, especially if you don't really plan on using him all that much. Scheduled to make $1.8 million, and it's a very crowded backfield, no doubt about that. Currently 9 running backs on the roster, and out of all the running backs, he is definitely the oldest at 31 years old. But Ingram, I'll say this, he's actually had a very good career, and it started off a little bit bumpy for the running back out of Alabama, but it's gotten better. This past season, though, with the Baltimore Ravens, J.K. Dobbins came in. He didn't really get a chance to really shine, and when you look at the numbers, 72 carries, 299 yards, 2 touchdowns, it's a big-time difference from what he did in 2019. But as it stands right now, here's the Texans' running back depth chart. David Johnson, he's the RB1, at least he better be, right? Especially if you're going to give up DeAndre Hopkins. Mark Ingram's the RB2. Phillip Lindsay, though, is your RB3. And then, oh yeah, Rex Burkhead is also a pretty solid depth piece. So you realistically have 4 running backs that I'll say are halfway decent. So in terms of moving on from Ingram, potentially it could be a thing because they didn't really ever anticipate Phillip Lindsay being on the free agent market, and then Denver let him go. So here's what ESPN had to say on Ingram at being a potential cut candidate. The Texans' running back group is deep right now, and it seems unlikely that there's room for Ingram, David Johnson, Phillip Lindsay, and the newly signed Rex Burkhead on the final 53-man roster. Given that the Texans restructured Johnson's contract in March and doubled his guaranteed money, he will probably make the team. Ingram, who signed a 1-year deal in March, could be the odd man out. Now, the one thing that I'll always say that Ingram's done a pretty halfway decent job with is being able to run between the tackles but also catch the football. So over the last 5 years, here are his numbers from his time with New Orleans and then his last 2 seasons with the Baltimore Ravens. In 2019, over 1,000 yards, 10 rushing touchdowns. He really saw an extra pep in his step. Maybe it had a little bit more to do with Lamar Jackson and that offense, but still, he was very productive. And then from a receiving standpoint, he does give you some of that ability. Obviously, David Johnson's a good pass-catching running back. Rex Burkhead's a good pass-catching running back. Phillip Lindsay's shown some glimpses as well. But for Ingram to get $1.8 million, if you're not going to use him, but I still think that he could probably handle 125 touches. It's just, is that worth $1.8 million? So y'all can go ahead and let me know. Will the Texans decide to cut Mark Ingram? I want you to go down in the comment section right now and type Y for yes, or if you're like, you know what, no, I think they're going to hang on to this guy, you can go ahead and type your N for no. If I was Houston, I would actually keep Ingram because I still think he's got some juice left in the tank. Now, if you want to move on from a few other players, you could go ahead and do that. But for the Texans, they made a lot of mediocre moves, but I actually like the move of Mark Ingram.